I'm good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Unless anyone has any issues with Noah hearing his voice, more so than mine.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me get everything moved around so I can actually read the slides. Okay. Well, I hope you all had a good spring break. We're going to get started here with our co-president election meeting. First, we're going to start, actually, okay. So we are going to begin with a community building activity, which you just saw, which is going to be like a spring break recap kind of thing. We're going to do like the co-pres elections. So the three people running are Brooke, Emma, and Kirthana. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but they'll be showing us their platforms for next year, and they'll be here to answer your questions in case you have any questions for them. And then we're just going to do our collective breath and committee time. So it's going to be a very short and simple meeting. But yeah, let's get started then with the community builder. Shivani, do you want to explain the community building for today?
Yes, I would love to. It's really just share what you did. I know someone in this room had a really cool spring break trip that I'm incredibly envious of. I'm not going to name names, but maybe we'll talk about it once we meet back. We're just going to do like pairs. If you could put us into just rooms of two. And share anything highlights. You don't have to be like, you don't have to go anywhere super cool. Like I just went back home to Mansfield, which is not cool. But I did get to have a couple of relaxing days where I got to have brunch with my friends. And so just share whatever brought you joy this past week. And then the last thing before we come back, I want to point out that I am moderating a conversation. I feel like I'm leading the discussion on Thursday for a GlobeMed HQ event with the director of the place I do my capstone with. His name is Raneem. And I'll drop the link in the group me, but I'm really excited about that because I think Girls Rock is so cool and that we get to have it in Cincinnati, and I got to like connect these two things I care about a lot. So if you have any time on Thursday, I will send the link for registration. If you could make it out, that'd be super cool. But yeah, send us off into our rooms, please.
Okie doke. I'm gonna do it 2 to 3 people per room. That's cool. Small groups. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
that's fine.
All right, room.
Hello.
What's up, you guys? How are you?
I normally just steal them from my dad. All right. Yeah. Does anyone want to share back spring break plans at all, or you don't have to, but feel free.
I want to hear about Maria's climbing, since Shivani did us like that earlier.
I'm so jealous. The way I just was shaking at him, she posted on Instagram.
Okay, I guess I'll share. So we didn't actually go climbing. It was highlining. So if you know what slacklining is, like it's that like big rope that you see people sometimes on Sigma Sigma between two trees and like walking on it like a tightrope. So highlining is that, but between cliffs or between buildings, or like it's just high up in the air. So we had a friend on like the trip that we went on who was super into it, and there was like a festival going on over that weekend, and like the organizers were still there and they still had things like rigged up and set up. So we went there on a whim to see like if we'd be able to see anybody do things, and then they were really encouraging and like helped everybody get on and do things. And then there was like a swing jump into the canyon. So you pretty much just harness up and you like jump off a cliff into the canyon, you fall 270 feet, and then you're still hanging like 200 feet from the ground. And I did that, and it was very thrilling and the craziest shit that I've ever done on spring break. So yeah.
I'm living vicariously because that's the only thing I got for me right now. That's
Feel satisfied with that?
I mean, no, like I want to see like pictures, videos eventually, but yeah, that sounds.
Next time y'all run into me, I will gladly show you them.
Please do.
Is anyone gonna try and top that? It's okay. We don't. Let's just move on. I don't even want to think about that. Honestly, that sounds terrifying, Maria. So I think we're good there. Noah, do you want to click over? Yeah. So like Noah said already, 3 candidates. We got Emma, Brooke, Kirthana, absolute units, and unless anyone has questions, I guess I don't know. We can go ahead and get started. I know I asked. No one's gonna have questions about this, right? Okay, Brooke, go ahead. It's your world.
All right. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Brooke Allnut, and tonight I mainly just wanted to talk about why I love GlobeMed, as well as some things that I would love to see us do in the future. So it all started when I was born. Just kidding. It's because GlobeMed was my first and favorite club that I joined here at UC. And I remember one of my first days at UC freshman year, I was just walking around and someone gave me a GlobeMed flyer and I was like, huh, it's kind of shady, but it sounds interesting. So I came and I'm so glad that I did. This club is where I made some of my first friends, and everyone has been so supportive of one another, and the atmosphere has always felt really welcoming. Like, look at how welcoming everyone looks in this picture. And it's always fun seeing members outside of chapter meetings as well. I also find it really inspiring to be surrounded by people who are so passionate about global health and social justice. Like, don't these people look really passionate? And I'm so excited to see what kind of impacts we all are going to have in the future. I've also learned something new from every single meeting that I've been to, which is definitely more than I can say about some of my classes, unfortunately. I think members have done a great job at building a non-judgmental learning environment, which has really been exemplified by one of my favorite norms, which is the permission to be raggedy, where everyone feels like they're able to contribute to the conversation, even if they don't feel like they're experts on the topic. And I love that we don't feel the pressure to be super polished whenever we give an answer. And then, of course, we can't forget about our sustainable and equitable partnership that we have with SAW, where we all have a voice in the decision-making process, which is really big for me. And I think it's something that makes GlobeMed really special. So now I just wanted to go over a brief recap of my GlobeMed experience so far. So when I was a freshman in 2019, I joined GlobeMed, and my first role in our chapter was just as a member of the partnerships committee, which I absolutely loved. I participated in monthly video calls with ATL and helped educate the rest of our chapter on our amazing partnership. And this is where I really got to learn about the ins and outs of our partnership and why it is so important for it to be sustainable and equitable. And then the following year, I became the director of communications and design, where I led a committee that created marketing materials based on community-centric fundraising practices. And when we went virtual, I kept our chapter members up to date by posting our meetings on YouTube and social media. And I also organized exec member takeovers, so the members could get to know more about us and GlobeMed. And through that, I got to work with pretty much all the committees and see how amazing they all are and all the hard work they put in. And I really enjoyed this position. So I continued it the following year with the amazing Elizabeth. And then that year as well, I was also a GROW intern. And so my main project was working with our partner along with Kirthana. And we helped create a new website and online shop where hopefully in the future, SAW can sell their income generation items made by the woman living in the healthcare house to a wider audience. And then besides working on this project, I also helped some of the Burmese children work on their English skills to prepare them for the GED. And I think that was probably one of my favorite memories from the GROW trip. After our sessions, our partner contact would teach our team a word or phrase in Burmese or Thai. And even though our pronunciations, and especially my pronunciations of the words, were probably not the greatest, it helped us all feel more connected. And I felt even more in love with GlobeMed after that experience. And so now in the present day, I am super excited for whatever my senior year in GlobeMed was going to look like. So why do I want to be co-president besides wanting to be a G in NOAA? Because, I mean, who doesn't, right? So I would really love to help our chapter accomplish the following things. And the first one is to increase member diversity. And what that means is I would love to see more members with different majors and backgrounds like music, art, or law. join. So I think we've been doing a great job of this so far, and I really enjoyed hearing perspectives from finance majors and other different majors in our chapter. And something that we could do to increase our diversity is to collaborate with other organizations like Parkinson's Together and hold events where we can reach a wider audience, and then continue to table on campus in a variety of places like what Ravi and Emma are doing here in Lindner, and really trying to attract those business students. And then I would also like to find ways to increase the retention of members. And I'm really grateful to all of you who come here on a regular basis. And I would love to have even more people do the same thing. So one of the ways I think we could do this is to have some sort of like big little system where we match older members with the newer members. And my vision for this is that it will be voluntary, but I think it would be a great way for newer members to adjust more quickly, especially if they don't know anyone in GlobeMed when they're first coming in, which I know can be super scary. So I think it would be nice to have someone you can directly reach out to with questions, and maybe we could hold some like friendly competitions or something like that for fun. And then I would also love to hold more social and service events outside of chapters so that people could get to know each other better. And one of my favorite memories from my first year was volunteering at the Birthing Center, which was super fun. And that's where I really got to know some of the members better that are in this picture right here. And of course, having more events like Monster Mash, where we're mainly just having fun, even if no one could figure out what Perry was supposed to be. And then additionally, I would love to start posting on our website again, or create another platform like Discord or something like that, where members could share their reflections, opinions, suggestions, and even memes after meetings. I know we've had a lot of great discussions, and sometimes I wish we could continue them even after chapter. And I think this could be a great way that we could do it. And just a disclaimer, this would absolutely not be anything like those horrible Canvas discussion boards. Like, they would totally be voluntary and for fun. And if some of you remember last year when we were virtual, Maria and Shay would ask for pluses and minuses at the end of the meeting. And I would love to find a way for members to do something similar for in-person meetings, and maybe making an option for it to be anonymous so you all can really roast us if we need it. I really want your feedback to shape what GlobeMed looks like in the future. And then another idea I had was to create some more GlobeMed merch. So I really love the pins and stickers and even the fanny packs that we had. But I think having shirts, sweatshirts, hats, honestly, the sky's the limit. It might be nice to have too. We could sell them as part of a campaign, and it can also help us raise awareness. It could be sort of like Shivani's handshake thing that we did, and like spark conversation if people are like, hey, what's GlobeMed? And then we can tell them all about it. And then finally, I would love to find a way to collaborate with other GlobeMed chapters. One of my favorite meetings that we ever had was our virtual internal GHU with the Loyola chapter, where we talked about migrant reform, food insecurity, education policies, and we introduced our partners to each other. And so I thought it was really inspiring to see what the other GlobeMed chapters were doing and also brainstorm ideas together. And if you look at this map, you can see all of our chapters and partnerships around the world. And I think it would be really cool if we could find a way to collaborate with them. And that is all. Do you all have any questions?
If there aren't any questions, we can keep moving. Is that cool with everyone? All right, we got some head nods. All right, excellent work, Brooke. A lot of laughs, a lot of love in there. A lot of live, laugh, love. With that, Emma, you're up.
All right. Okay, bear with me, GlobeMed besties. I'm gonna try to share my screen. Hold on. See, can you guys see this correctly? I can't see if you're like nodding yes or no.
Yes, we can
Okay,
see.
cool. Okay, sorry.
No, you're great.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys for taking some time out of your day to talk about all of our, or to listen to us talk about our platforms. So I want to talk a little bit about myself, my involvement in GlobeMed, some things I'm kind of proud to be a part of, why I love GlobeMed, why I want to run, and then some like growth goals or changes that I want to do next year, a little bit about what my vision of our e-board will be, and then some qualifications, and then some time for questions if you guys have any. So the first thing about me, I'm a second year at UC. I'm mainly majoring in neurobiology on the pre-med track, so I'm hoping to go to med school to be an OBGYN. And some things I'm passionate about are nutrition, women's health, traveling, my family, my community, and then GlobeMed. And then my involvement in GlobeMed. So this is my second year in GlobeMed. A lot of my first year I spent in the external committee, kind of like learning about how just, well, I spent a lot of it in the external, but I also spent a lot of the time trying to figure out like what GlobeMed was, what SOL was, and stuff like that, like most first years do. And then I decided that I really, really wanted to run to be the external GHU co-director. And then very graciously, I got the role, and I've been able to use this a lot to sort of not just educate our like UC community, but be educated, because a lot of these tabling events I've kind of learned stuff that I didn't know, like vaccine hesitancy, how prevalent it was before COVID, and like how prevalent it is now. And then also things like HIV and AIDS and minority health, just things like I would have never really thought of and now I know about. So that's been super enjoyable. And then this year I'm also 2022 Grow intern. So I get to work closely with our partners, Social Action for Children and Women, which has been so fun, just getting to know ATL and like just get to know his personal life, and then just getting to know like a lot more about what SOL does, because I remember as a first year, like it was kind of hard to figure out what SOL was. So just getting to be able to do that and then share that back with chapter is something I'm really looking forward to. I'm also a volunteer at Waitlist Anchor, which is our other partner in Price Hill, which is about 15 minutes from campus. That's been super amazing because it's been very helpful to relate a lot of my experiences to them, because I come with a similar background as them. And then a little bit about some like achievements / things I'm really proud to be a part of. The first thing is our upcoming reproductive health campaign in external. We're gonna be tabling sometime this week or next week a little bit about reproductive health, the importance of it, and we're also hosting a menstrual product drive. So I really, really recommend that you just look into that. And all those proceeds are going to Waitlist Anchor. I'm super happy about this because I know someone who experienced period poverty growing up. It's really like, it's a really good feeling to know like you have access to these products. So I'm really glad that we get to share that moment with them. And then something I'm really excited about is all the collaboration that I've done, that I've gotten to be a part of with SOL, just getting to know ETL a lot more, and then getting to know Waitlist Anchor a lot more. It's been super exciting because they're our partners. So it's just like getting to them personally has been really enjoyable. And then the last thing I'm super proud of is the amount of growth that I've got to do with GlobeMed. If you saw my Instagram post, I talked about a lot, or not my Instagram post, GlobeMed's Instagram post, I talked a lot about how GlobeMed challenges us to be brave. And I'm really like, that is something that I am super proud to be a part of, because I know every time that I go to a GlobeMed meeting and we talk about something like social determinants of health, that's something that affects all of us. And just being able to broaden my perspective and even go beyond that, like challenge my perspective on what I thought that was. It's been really exciting, and I'm just glad that I've been able to grow in that way. Just as well as like my personal skills, because in a virtual environment, it's been hard to be sociable, and GlobeMed's definitely helped me to step out of my box for that. And then some reasons why I love GlobeMed, as I said earlier, it encourages a lot of bravery. And as a first year member, the amount of inclusivity that GlobeMed gave was just like, it was astronomical compared to other organizations. And that's why I stayed with GlobeMed, because like from day one, I remember like I joined the meeting out of Curito thinking like, I'm gonna eat dinner, I'm gonna watch, probably no one's gonna interact with me, but like people did interact with me. People like, we would go into breakout rooms and we would personally talk to people, and it was just so nice to know that people would hear my voice and listen to me and I could listen to them. So just that like collaboration, that like inclusivity is just something that's really made me love GlobeMed. Also just like learning about new things and challenging my perspective again has been something I really enjoyed, because a lot of organizations unfortunately don't do stuff like this. It's more just lecture based and then leave. But GlobeMed is always about doing like discussion rooms and discussion questions, making you reflect, and that's always been something I've really loved. And then a little bit about why I want to be co-pres. I want to carry on this tradition of inclusivity. I remember like I would go to the eWord meetings last year and people would ask me about like follow-up questions about how my week was, that I would tell them that I just like would expect them not to remember, but they would like consistently always follow up with me, and just knowing that like people actually paid attention to what I said just always felt really nice. And I want to be able to carry on that momentum this year, or next year, I mean. And then I also have a lot of new ideas for some things for GlobeMed next year and how I want to structure our e-board. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, but yeah. And then I'm also interested in having a lot more collaboration with our partners, Waitlist Anchor. Just getting to volunteer with them this past semester has made me realize just how much they align with our GlobeMed values. I also want to use my position as a way to get more connected with HQ. I know as we're like kind of transitioning from a virtual environment, it's been really hard just to get more connected. Like Brooke was saying, like to talk with other chapters, that's something that would be really good to do. Or just like going to like workshops that HQ is hosting, like those are things that I want to make sure that we're trying to do, which has been really hard, and I want to be able to help with that. Also, yeah, so going into a little bit of growth goals or changes that I have, my first thing I want to do is have us take an IDI assessment. So this is essentially where we take, it's like this reflective quiz that we take about our culture, other cultures, what our perspective is on it, and kind of reflect on that and then be able to grow on it, because we talk a lot about broadening our perspective in GlobeMed and growing with one another. And I think just having an idea of what our cultural competency as an individual and then as a group is really important in laying the foundation and like broadening our perspective, getting to know our partner better, because, you know, if we have this lens of like a monocultural mindset, like where we just assume everyone's the same, everything's the same, like we're not really going to get to know someone as a deeper level. And I think it's really important, and we've done it in Grow, and it's been really helpful. And is a little bit involvement in Waitlist Anchor. I know this is a really new partnership, so it's been super hard to be able to get things to collaborate with them. So just being able to work with the e-board members who are doing that, I'm super excited for that. So the ways I want to do this is to try to get a few chapter members to volunteer at Waitlist Anchor. Unfortunately, during the actual Waitlist Anchor days, like volunteering hours, only women are allowed to go, but there are a lot of other things that the guys can help with us as well. And then for more involvement with Waitlist Anchor, I want to have us do two fundraisers. One in the fall that's going to be called GlobeMed Ghosts. So it's going to be like these candygrams will pass out near Halloween. And then in the spring, I want to do something near Mother's Day, or not Mother's Day, sorry, Valentine's Day, where we do like glow packages, where they're just like self-care things that we can do. Yeah. And then a little bit about my e-board vision. I wanted change it up a little bit from what we've been doing in the past. So I want to keep the same thing for campaigns, 2 to 3 campaign co-directors, just because there's a lot that goes in with individual giving and benefit generators. So it's important to have more than one person do that. And then I want to have our communications team be 1 to 2 people, but then I want to have at least one of the communications directors be centered around doing community building. I think that's really important because communications, they collaborate with a lot of different e-board members, so they get to know a lot about the people, and I think it's important that that would be helpful for community and committee building. And then I want to have 1 internal GHU director, but also having a good amount of committee members to support them. And then I want to have our external GHU and our service and advocacy committee merge us into one. So a lot of external is focused on the outside community and not just GlobeMed. And that's also what service and advocacy focuses on a lot. Also, they do focus on a lot of serving and advocating for people. And I think that those 2 committees really have a lot of vision that align with one another. So I want to merge them as one. And then so for partnerships, I want to do 2 co-directors as usual, because there's a lot that goes into partnerships, and I want us to be able to set us up for success like the past presidents have as well. But I do want to keep one of the partnership directors as a growth coordinator if possible. Yeah. And then so a little bit about my qualifications. I'm sorry for running a little over. This past year, I have been the project manager for the Crossroads Volunteer Internship Program, and I am actually about to be the head site lead. And then I have also gotten leadership experience through being the vice president of the UC Beekeeping Club. And so I've gotten a lot of experience in transitioning from online to in person, so that I think will be really beneficial. And then just my past GlobeMed experiences that I've talked about, I feel are really beneficial because they've helped me understand and have this foundational knowledge of what GlobeMed is. And then there's my contact information. Thank you guys. I know this is probably really long and a lot of information to digest. Yeah, does anyone have any questions? I'm gonna stop sharing though, because I don't think I can see anyone.
I have a quick question, but first, more for the current co-presidents. Are we going to have the chance to ask questions at the end after all of the candidates have done? Okay, cool. So I'm just going to hold it because I want to, yeah, I'll just pitch the same question to all 3 candidates at the end.
That's a good idea. Nice work, Emma.
Thank you.
We'll take a minute if anyone does have questions. And again, if not, we always have time at the end. So we can keep rolling. Kirthana, you ready? Feeling good? All right. Go crazy.
Okay. All right. Just fair warning, I live across a fire station, so if I do mute, it's probably because there is a fire alarm or anything like that going. So a little bit about me. I'm running for co-president, obviously, platform. And about me, so I am going to be a senior next year. I'm studying medical sciences. It'll be my 4th year also in GlobeMed. In my free time, I like to paint, watch shows, and GlobeMed was probably one of my first organizations I was also part of, and just continue to be part of it as well. So a little bit of a timeline of my involvement in GlobeMed. So I started my freshman year in the partnerships committee, actually alongside with Brooke. And that was probably the biggest foundation, and one of the biggest reasons that I still continue to be part of GlobeMed is it helps me to learn more about our partner through like the Zoom calls we do with ATL, and like our fantastic partnerships committee head, which was Molly. She was honestly probably my like biggest pushing force, and to continue to be GlobeMed as well as then run for eBoard my next following years. So shout out to Molly, if everyone knows her, she's an amazing person. But honestly, that was probably the biggest thing of why I wanted to stay in GlowMed. I learned through the sustainability model, through the partnerships committee, and just noticed how much different GlowMed was to other public health organizations, as well as like other social justice partnerships. Sorry for the music outside, but I then became an e-board member. And so I was director of campaigns from my sophomore year, which is 2020 to 2021. That was another struggle for me, I think, because it was a year we were in virtual. So a lot of our campaigns had to be restructured. So probably my biggest achievement, I think, for that was being able to restructure campaigns that we may have been able to only do it in person and trying to come up with new ones that would be able to not only reach our goal of like trying to get 10,000, or in this case for our virtual year, we aim for 6 to 8, was to be able to get that and have more accessible to people who are like maybe not on campus, who are maybe back at home. So one of the first campaigns I think I did was Spooky Sprint, which is like a virtual 5K. It was just like location was just wherever you guys are. And it was just a fun campaign for me to start off with and like figure out how to do virtual campaigning. Now, with an addition to that, I led a seminar for GlowMed HQ back my fall semester of sophomore year on virtual fundraising. So we'd already done a couple of fundraising. And so HQ was like, hey, would you be able to share what you've done, what you've learned? And a lot of it was on community-centric fundraising, which I think Brooke kind of had talked a little about, but it's basically this concept that wherever fundraising we do, we have to talk about our partner in a positive light, especially in a virtual setting where all of our communication is done through social media, through email. We won't be able to talk in person with them. So whatever phrasing, whatever words that we use when we do talk about fundraising has to be done like in a community-centric fundraising. So that was basically what my seminar was. And it was one of a few things I was honored to be able to lead for GlowMed HQ. So then again, my spring semester sophomore year, I continued to be campaigns director, and then was also preparing to be the Grow intern for summer of 2021. And so that was honestly experience I really enjoyed, and I'll talk a little bit more about it on my next slide. And then obviously currently right now I am benefit dinner coordinator, so I'm still in the campaigns team, but a little bit more of a focus on benefit dinner specifically. And if everyone doesn't know, it is April 1st, so coming up soon, so I hope you guys get all excited. So Grow intern, what did I do? It was very project-based. With it being virtual, we kind of had to divvy up what our projects were and have people be involved in different projects in order to like maximize our strengths and weaknesses and figure out which ones we'll be good at. So my projects that I specifically worked on was IG Shop, basically trying to set up a shop that income generation items can be sold on. It wasn't able to successfully happen because a lot of income generation items wasn't shipped until very late. Again, probably through COVID, delivery stuff, whatever. But I think my favorite thing was the SAW website, was actually being able to go on the website, edit some stuff, and be able to put together a website that SAW would be able to use for themselves and be able to share their platform and their message. Again, the Grow was virtual, so we basically had meetings with ATL, basically try to connect our relationship. Even if it was virtual, we wanted to be able to have constant meetings to try to figure out how to best solidify our relationship. And then I think the favorite part of it all was English conversations we would have with the SAW students, actually interact with them, because even though we won't be able to see them in person, we still wanted to meet them and try to put another opportunity for them to practice their English. So with that, kind of like a little brief summary of like what my goals and my accomplishments were. So what I wanted to accomplish next year. So I think this past year was fantastic in the way that it helped transition between a virtual year and back in person. I think that was a huge challenge this past year when a lot of our GlowMed members haven't ever seen how an in-person GlowMed meeting goes or how in-person GlowMed events go. And so what I want to do for the future is to solidify what we have accomplished. We have a number of people who've now gone and been in person GlowMed for a year and basically grow in terms of member retention, fundraising, and as we'll just try to grow as a community. So like with that goals, I like try to like put together what like projects or future plans I can think of. So I kind of just to simplify it right here. But I think my main goal is to help with recruitment and retention. I think that's like one of the biggest challenges that GlowMed has every year is to be able to recruit new members, again, to have a diverse group of people come into GlowMed every year, as well as retain all the GlowMed members that we've talked about and had build communications and relationships with them to come back the same year. And so what my main goal of that would be is like social events. I think that's like one of the biggest things that we can try to kick off the next year with, is to plan events in the summer. A lot of the times that we have GlowMed, we try to have just meetings centric, but I think having like a welcome week GlowMed edition, or like, welcome weeks if we want to go into September, is to just have social events that don't have to be like fundraising centered, but it could just be like karaoke night, game night, anything like that. And we can definitely use like UFB funding for that, since it won't be like a fundraiser. And just honestly, the main goal of that would be community bonding and trying to get to know new freshmen and try to see if they would like to join our mission in GlowMed. And then again, for another thing I like to talk about is committee accountability. I think we did a fantastic job in committees and having them be more involved, but I think accountability is probably one of the biggest things that we can like try to work on more. I remember my freshman year, I said I was part of the partnerships committee. And so I think one of my favorite memories of that was Molly would have us come, we had like bi-weekly meetings. And like, even if we didn't have anything planned for partnerships, if there was no like a future ATL call, if we didn't have like a presentation to prepare, we would still meet up and like get food. And it was just fun to be able to talk and talk to upperclassmen and figure out how and why if I want to continue on with GlowMed. And it was one of the biggest driving force that I decided to apply to eBoard. I basically talked with Molly and try to figure out how my role in eBoard could look like. And then obviously the last thing I was talking about could be my background from campaigns, was basically to plan fall fundraisers. I think the biggest issue when we have a new semester is we kind of just push it off because committees aren't formed until like mid-October or late September. Once we try to have like a solid group of freshmen or a solid group of new members coming in. And so I think planning fundraisers, or like again, planning events in the summer would alleviate all that stress we would feel when we try to get back in class, back in person, and then class and get involved and get in the way of things. And so I think maximizing our summer and trying to figure out a game plan and like mapping out our calendar would probably be the best bet in trying to get things rolling and get people more involved. I think my biggest factor, like staying GlowMed for this long, was how many events we do. And like, that's why I love being campaigns. And so when newer members of GlowMed see like, oh my God, they're coming like social events and like fundraising plans, I feel like they get more excited and be able to stay and come into GlowMed both in this fall semester as well as spring. And then so I think that's my main like goal, is try to figure out how to do recruitment retention, and whether that be through community bonding events, awareness events like tabling, stuff like that, or with fall fundraisers that we plan in the summer. And then all in all, I just want to end it off with a little nice competition analysis. I know G and Noah emailed us saying that we'd be sworn enemies, but honestly, Emma and Brooke are probably the sweetest people I've ever got to know. Brooke I've like known since freshman year, and Emma got to know from last year. So any of them would be amazing co-presidents. So I'll see you next year. Everyone would be fantastic, whoever the co-president is. Thank you. Do you have any questions? I'm gonna
If you
stop
guys have any
sharing.
questions for everyone, go ahead and ask them too now.
Okay. I guess I'll go ahead. So can everyone hear me okay? Okay, sweet. So first off, amazing job to all three candidates. I'm so proud to see like how much you guys have grown. My question to all of you is, obviously the co-president role is a ton of work. Like you're going to be putting multiple hours, you're going to be meeting up with your co-president a lot throughout the semester. What kind of things do you have going on next year, and how are you going to balance those things? I know a lot of you mentioned that you are looking to go to medical school. How are you going to be balancing the MCAT and your rigorous like STEM course load with this huge responsibility?
I can go. Luckily, I've already taken my MCAT, so that's out of the way for me. I'm also finishing up my med school application right now, so hopefully that will be totally out of the way by the time senior year rolls around. I'm planning on taking a lighter course load, and so hopefully I will have plenty of time to devote to GlowMed, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, I can go next. I will be taking my MCAT in the spring. However, I actually won't have a heavy course load like most juniors do. I take all of my hard classes in the summer, so most of the classes I'll be taking are very easy course loads, so it'll help me allocate a lot of time for GloMed. I also do have a few other organizations I'm in, like Beekeeping Club and then the Crossroads Volunteer Internship Program. But again, so with the CDIP program, all of my roles are done during my shift. And then for beekeeping, I should probably backtrack. I have a spreadsheet that I kind of like fill in what I'm doing, like not like every single hour, but most hours of every single day. So I know like what I need to do and when I need to do it. So it's sort of like me creating hard deadlines, and it helps me stay on top of a lot of stuff, which so I have more than enough time to allocate for it. And I also do put in the specific time. So keeping that balance will actually be very doable for me.
And I can go next. So this is the senior year, MCAT and the medical qualifications on that end won't be too much of an issue. I should be done by the time fall semester starts. But for kind of like the organization skills, I think benefit dinner coordinator specifically was probably one of the biggest challenges for me as an e-board. And so being able to tackle that was one of the biggest driving forces. And like, is that something as co-president, would I be able to do that? So what Emma said, like the organization skills I learned through as coordinator, deadlines, as well as allocating specific time for GloMed is something I already do with being a benefit donor coordinator. So being able to adjust that as co-president, I think I could be able to do that and just put more time into it. And as course load for next semester, it's definitely a lot lighter. I definitely had a harder course load junior year and did not want to repeat that senior year. So it's definitely a lighter course load for me too.
Thank you.
Can I go next? I just want to say that I'm so impressed by all your presentations. It just like really warms my heart to see how amazing you all are, and that GloMed is in such good hands no matter what. My question is that working with a large group of people inevitably comes with conflict. How have you managed conflict in the past? And how do you see yourself like growing those skills before you take on this role?
You can go. Sorry.
Okay. So I think for conflict and things like that, I like to like be proactive. I think communication is probably the biggest like factor in anything leadership related and things like that. Making sure that we're communicative on all fronts, whether that be like deadlines. Okay, what's your future weeks going to look like? Are you going to have a lighter course load? Are you going to have a harder course load? Is that something that you need to like work on ahead of time? Is something that I need to like put more time in since you won't? And so I think a lot of conflict that I end up encountering is things that we could have avoided per se, just because of communication. And then I think whenever I do have a conflict, whether that be in different roles, as like maybe e-board or like within like personal life, I think again, communication, talking with that person up front, be like, okay, this is the issue I have right now. Is there something that's going on? Is something you need to let me know? And basically go into everything with a positive mindset. You know, you never know what other person's going through. And so when we ever discuss with conflict, I think that's the biggest role is like communication, honestly, is the biggest thing. And being upfront and in a positive way and not accusatory, if that makes sense. And yeah, that's I think my biggest advice for that.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Communication and being proactive is really important, and just like setting people up for success as well. Because I know like through being a project manager at Crossroads, there's conflict that happens a lot of times sometimes. And it's not necessarily like with people doing their projects, but like you hear from exec board, and a lot of it comes down to like there isn't just clear instructions for doing things. So I find like a lot of the time, like again, like Kirtan said, it can be avoided if you talk through somebody and you elaborate, because I know like I've had like confrontations with people, like they'll ask me for things I'm like, I'm sorry, but like that's not in my role. Like, so making sure that things are clarified, you elaborate on them. Like if someone asks you a question, you try to get back with them at an immediate time, like as soon as like it's convenient for you, but also like sooner than later. And again, just like staying really proactive, I think is really important.
Yep, I would agree with Emma and Kirpana. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of the same thing that would happen. So I'm an intern at a nonprofit, and for a while I had to manage 7 student chapters that were all across the US. And so communication was a big issue for us for a while, since it mainly happens online through texting or something like that. And so oftentimes they would just maybe not see the text, or they would forget about it. So I came up with a platform where we could all kind of collaborate together. And I created a Slack for all of us to use so we could all see what each other is doing. And so we wouldn't overstep like other people's responsibilities or what they wanted to have accomplished. So.
Thank you so much.
Does anybody? Yes, Naga, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you guys first of all for your presentations. I had a question because I think a couple of you guys covered like kind of emphasizing like more community or more bonding within like the GlobeMed space. So how do you guys plan on kind of doing that as a co-president?
So I can go first because I think kind of like talked a little about it, but I think for mainly community buildings, it's not like a fundraiser that we're raising money towards SAW, and the main goal is for community building. That's something that we can use, college funding for, and so that's why I was like, okay, if we plan the summer and like have that already planned and everything like that, that can be like game nights we can do. It could be like karaoke night. I know we talked a little bit about that, but because of time constraints as a fundraiser, we're not able to do that. But if we turn that into a community event, I think that's a little bit more feasible to do, since we won't have to worry about, location wise, if it's going to just be community bonding. So a lot of the ideas I kind of had was like from campaigns that we talked about, but we weren't able to do because of time constraint and funding issues. But if we have it as just a community bonding, I think that's kind of like what I was like looking into. I know like some organizations have done like mystery night, I think I saw one time, and so like it was just things like that like would have a lot of people, not just in GlobeMed, to come to. Other organizations can come to it as well. I think it would have a good job in not only recruiting but bonding the current GlobeMed members with the newer GlobeMed members. So
yeah, I love that. So for me, I think that utilizing fundraisers and doing things outside of fundraisers are great ways to bond with your committee. I'm just thinking like next year, if I was to be elected co-president, I would want to have us to do a fall fundraiser that would be like Candygrams, and just using it as a time like whoever the committee wanted to do that, they could watch a movie, go out to eat, and like do those things and build those like little Candygram packages together, like sort of just utilizing like that time to get to know each other better, and then also like having time outside of it. So ideally at the beginning of each semester, or even in the summer, it could be planned like just a sort of like a list of a few things that we want to sort of like accomplish, like to go do during the school year. So it could be like by September or during September, have us go see the new Spider-Man movie, or like in October, have us go, like, if you guys remember, some of us did like the painting pumpkins, just like making sure that we like are like being proactive and like understanding like, okay, let's make sure we try to get like 2 or 3 bonding events this semester outside of chapter, outside of like everything else, something like low-key laid back, because I know like it can be stressful doing classes and everything else. So just planning ahead, I think, is really important, and utilizing like time outside of GlobeMed is important too.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And I know with some of my other clubs that I'm in, we would do service events that were open to a like wider range of people. Maybe we would post it on like the volunteer website, and then people could join us and do the volunteering together. And that's how we also kind of recruited as well. We could all be doing service together and get to know one another through that. And then sometimes they would be interested in our organization and join, which was super amazing. And then I also liked what Shivani kind of did in the group chat, where she would like say, hey, I'm at Rose from like 4 to 6. Does anyone want to join? So I think like more informal things like that would be super nice for us to do as well, just so it's not like required for all of us to come.
Thank you guys for your responses.
Does Elizabeth have
Oh,
her hand up?
So
Yeah,
okay,
I have a question. Loved your presentations. I learned something new about each of you, so that's always special. But my question was, the co-presidents spend a lot of time together. I know I wouldn't be surprised if, Noah and Ajit are texting, emailing every single day, and then probably see each other a few times a week. No, Ajit, not every day. So my question is just if you guys are prepared to be working so closely with someone else and, delegating roles to each other. If you can't always be physically together, which I'm sure is the case sometimes with everyone's busy schedules. So yeah, that's just my question. Basically, if you're prepared for that.
Okay. I was just gonna say, again, I think communication, like I personally feel prepared because I think I have really good communication skills. Like through this past year, in external, I know Naga and I, like we have been like sometimes like we literally meet like almost like last week we met, not last week, like week before we literally met like 3 times during the week for external stuff. So just like keeping that personal relationship that we have has been like really beneficial. So just like at the beginning of the year, like if I'm elected, whoever I'm elected with, like I of course like I want to go get dinner with them. Like I want to get to know them better so like I can feel comfortable just to talk to them. So yeah. So just like communication is really important.
And I think for me, similar to what Emma said, for benefit dinner coordinator, it definitely has been a huge role in the communication. So like, I'm pretty sure Noah and Ajit are tired of me like texting them constantly about benefit dinner updates. But honestly, that texting is helpful, right? It keeps everyone on the same page. Even if we're not able to see each other like in person, like what Elizabeth was saying, we always text in the group chat. So I'm not just telling Ajit, I'm not just telling Noah, they both know at the same time. If any like big updates, because obviously with benefit dinner, like it's a lot of money that we're handling, right? Like we're doing venue stuff and silent auction, things like that. So I think that for me, again, like what Emma was saying, communication is the biggest thing, and keeping that like relationship with, if I do get being co-president, is we also want to do like fun things. I know we like gone out to eat and stuff like that. So like what Emma kind of said, I definitely agree with that. Just to build that relationship first before we just dive into being co-president, I think is the biggest goal for next year.
Yeah, I love what they both said. And I think another important thing is having boundaries as well, just to make sure that you don't get burnout in the position. I think it's important for whoever the 2 co-presidents are to maybe sit down like for a while and get to know each other's boundaries and kind of decide like when you want to work on stuff and maybe what like one person wants to be focusing on. And yeah, I think that's really important, just so they don't get like tired of each other or they don't get tired of GlowMed.
Thank you.
Yeah, to clarify, Noah and I only text each other at night. So, it's one of those deals. If that helps you guys think for next year.
Yeah, the first thing I think about in the morning is Ajit's texting, and the last thing I think about before I go to bed is Ajit's texting, because that's pretty much how I wake up and go to bed every day.
Good morning, Noah. Good night, Noah. I think this is also a good time to say you guys all did excellent. And it's nice to have 3 really strongly qualified candidates this year. I mean, last year we couldn't even get 2, so this is really, really good stuff. Does anyone have any other questions? If not, you can always wait. Maria, did you have something? Go.
Sorry, yes. Not a question for the candidates, but a question about the selection process. I'm sure you guys are about to explain that, but maybe I missed it in the first few minutes of the meeting. So if you could just recap that.
Yeah, so basically we're doing ranked choice voting this time. And essentially we're hoping one person will win by some. There was a part in the application, I know most of you didn't fill the application because you're not running for co-pres, where people could say like their preferences in a running mate and stuff like that. So based off that, factoring that in, we're going to figure out who would be the best pairing to the winner. And in some cases, it might not be like one person could work with anyone, but this other person could only work with like one of these two. So it'll be something like that. Does that make sense? I know, Maria. Otherwise, Noah can explain it because he might do better.
Yeah, I mean, it is what Ajit said, but it is kind of hard to explain. Like in the past, we've done it where one co-president or like the co-presidents currently will pick one of the running mates. So everyone will vote, and then that person will be definitely guaranteed a co-president spot. And then the co-presidents kind of pick the best choice. And that was to get rid of just popularity bias. So it's not just everyone voting for their absolute favorites. So this year we're doing ranked choice in the hope that like we can still hear your voices if you all think strongly that someone else should be co-president. So that way you can have that, but that's not necessarily a final say. So like the first place is going to be a final say still, but if like someone gets second place and there's not a whole lot of difference, and like Ajit said, if they've shown a preference for the other person for some reason, which like for this group might not be a thing, right? Because they all were like uplifting each other in their presentations and not acting like sworn enemies like Ajit and I told them to, but yeah, it's all good. Like that'll kind of be how it goes. So it's very similar, but there's at least another stage of your all's voices being taken into account this year.
All right. I think if no one has any more questions. Okay. Noah, do you want to go ahead and share again? Actually, before that, Noah's going to put the voting link in the chat. So it's a Google form. You know how it goes. You don't have to fill it out right now. We're going to email it and group me it out later. But it'd be nice if one person did just so we can make sure it works. But yeah, it'll be in the chat. Noah's going to do that. And then perfect. Share his screen. And yep, it's already not stopping me. So check GroupMe later. We'll send out there. Cool. And I think we're going to pass it on to Kirthna for benefit dinner.
If you aren't tired of me hearing my voice already, I'm going to be talking again, but benefit dinner is coming up. It is one of the biggest fundraisers of the year. Again, it's on April 1st. So like we're on the home stretch. Like it's almost like 2 weeks away on a Friday. We are at right now 58 tickets sold, which is amazing. But if you have still last minute tickets you want to get sold, invite your family, invite your parents. It's honestly an amazing opportunity for them to come and learn about GlobeMed a little bit more, learn about like what organization you are part of. Basically almost a whole year. We got only a month left of this college year, but we're at 58 tickets sold, which is great. And then our speakers is Dr. Jason Blackard, and our alumni is Sachika Singh. They're both fantastic speakers, and I can't wait to you guys to meet them. And then, I need next slide. Okay, I want to do a little sneak peek of all the auction items we've got. One of the big things we've heard from is like big organizations have finally reached out to me after me contacting them back in October. And so we've gotten some tickets from a lot of places. We got some from Perfect North, Kings Island, at Cincinnati. We got some gameplay from Top Golf, got some Cincinnati Red tickets. And so that's kind of amazing. And then we've also got some symphony orchestra tickets for Cincinnati Pops. We got art museum passes and like plenty of art supplies. I don't know how to tell you this. I went to go pick up art supplies last week. And it's like this art supply store on McMillan. And like massive, they're like, where's your car? I was like, what do you mean car? And they're like, no, I need you to pull your car up because you're not gonna be able to carry it. And they're like, we got these 3 massive boxes. When I tell you this, there's like so many canvases, like sketchbooks. So that's gonna be exciting to see put them together. And then honestly, it is enough to start our school. Like I took a picture of it and sent to Maria. I was like, it was insane. And then we've also got some gift cards from different places. The Arepa Place, which is down in Finley Market, Dewey's Pizza, Dean's Mediterranean Imports, which honestly is an amazing store I want to go back to, because not only did they give us a $20 gift card, they were like, oh, just pick some stuff here and then you can take it home. And I was like, what? So they gave us like some house olive oil from like Lebanon, I think, like River Valley. And they got me some spice grinder and stuff like that. We got some stuff from Canes and Graders. And finally, we have a lot of wine, as well as gifts from Rheingeist and Lumber Garage. So hopefully you guys are excited. That's definitely one of the biggest aspects of Benefit Dinner. They will be put on this online platform called Galabid. And so we'll be able to do auction stuff on there. So get excited. It's almost there. It's like April 1st is like literally 2 weeks away. So, and that's it for me.
All right. Noah, I replaced that link on that one form we have. So you can share that in the chat. But outside that, we have a lot to look forward to coming up as we enter the end of the year. Does anyone else have any announcements outside of, Benefit Dinner coming up? We're gonna hear from the MSO there, or UCF, or yeah, the MSO performing for us. That should be fun.
I do have one thing. So I mentioned it in my presentation, but Naga and I are having a menstrual product donation drive. So we're gonna put the baskets up around campus. I'll post more in the group chat, but I would really recommend donating because it means a lot to the people who receive those donations.
Yeah, huge. Beyond that, oh look, this picture's from Benefit Dinner, my freshman year. So that's Shivani with Sophie, Ellie, and Matthew, 2 of which were the co-presidents at the time. That's fun. Anyways, yeah, with that, we're going to go into committee time. Actually, you know what? It's still spring break. We can just not do committee time. Is that okay with committee leaders? Yeah? Okay. Anyone have a collective breath quote? Shivani's little hesitant hand.
Okay, so I made a Google Doc of collective breath quotes. Give me a second to pull this up. And they're like, not Paul Farmer. So, hold on, let me find it. Okay, this is from the Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green that I read recently. It's really good if you haven't read it. He says, one of the strange things about adulthood is that you are your current self, but you're also all the selves you used to be, the ones you grew out of, but can't ever quite get rid of. And I think, I don't know, for me personally, yeah, it's the Fault in Our Stars guy. His new work's a little bit different than the Fault in the Stars, and is really good. But I think, I don't know, last month-ish of school and e-board co-pres stuff is reminding me of change, so. That's it from me.
Do you want to lead the breath, Shivani?
Oh, did you want me to lead the breath?
It's not me, I can tell you that.
Okay. If you don't mind softening your gaze or closing your eyes, feel free to join me in a deep breath in and out.
All right, good work, team. If anyone wants to stick around for the e-board meeting, or if you do have more questions for our co-pres candidates, feel free. Otherwise, you're free to go. Enjoy the last 4 hours of spring break. Dang. Okay. Bye, guys.
Question, is there a place for us to look at everybody's like all the candidates presentations or like?
Yeah, we're gonna email that right after e-board.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
We'll just attach PDFs of your extended presentations. So for clarity for everyone else, they made 2 versions of the presentations. One they presented, and then one that has a lot more info. So people, if they don't feel like watching the recording, which a lot of people probably won't, they can just read the slides and make their decisions off those. So, cool. Does anyone have anything they'd like to start off with eBoard? Whoa, did you see me go green? That was so cool.
Why are you green?
It was, I'm using my sister's laptop right now because I didn't want to have to deal with the bottom camera on my computer, but it was scanning my face to like sign in. It's a red light. I don't know why it made me go green. Isn't that cool? It's in science something. Noah, did you get the new Google form link? The voting